This is section 4.5, solving quadratic equations by finding square roots. So you need to know how to find square roots today. So example 1 is about simplifying square roots. Alright, let's start with the first one, letter A. Number 80, or square root of 80. Alright, just like if I said, hey, could you write this on an answer on a test? No, just like this. You wouldn't be able to write this on a test, 3/6. Why? Because 3/6 is equal to 1/2. Same thing here, square root of 80, that's not simplified. Okay, so if you write that on a test, I will mark it wrong and take a couple points off. So, how do you simplify square root of 80? Well, you know how to simplify like square root of 4, right? Because square root of 4 is, what squared gives me 4? 2. Okay, square root of 9. What squared gives me 9? 3. So on and so on. Square root of 80, there's nothing. This isn't a nice answer. So what we have to do is we have to break roots down. Alright? So square root of 80, we can break down. There's a property that says the square root of a times b underneath the square root, okay, is equal to the square root of a times, break it up, square root of b. So you don't see a product under here, but we could say 80 is the same as maybe 8 times 10. So you could say square root of 80 is equal to square root of 8 times 10. Right? Same thing. Which means we can use our property now and say square root of a times the square root of b. So that means square root of 8 times square root of 10. If you multiply these two, you will get this. But that's not your answer. You got to break these down. All this stuff is breaking down. So square root of 8. What are some squares within 8? Like square root of 4, that was a nice number. Square root of 9, that's a nice number. Right? Square root of 8 is not a nice number. So what is within 8? Square root of 8 is the same as square root of 4 times square root of 2, right? Square root of 4, square root of 2, multiply them, square root of 8, correct? Times square root of 10 we can break down, square root of 5, square root of 2. So look what we have here now. We have square root of 4, which we do know the answer to that. That's 2. This is all being multiplied together, by the way. Everything's being multiplied together. 2 times, I'm going to rearrange it. Root 2 and root 2. Times, lastly, root 5. Now, can you do anything else within here? What about this? What is root 2 times root 2? I always look for pairs like this. Root 2 and root 2 make, if you multiply those two, that makes root 4, right? Which is equal to, this part here is equal to 2 whole. Root 2 times root 2 is just 2. Root 9 times root 9. Oh, can't see it. Root 9, that's root 81, which is just 9. You see a pattern here? Root 2 is 2. Root 9 is 9. So, see the pattern. But I still have a 2 out here, so this is where it gets a little hairy here. 2 times, this is 2, times root 5, can't break down anymore, so it's just root 5. Is that a good answer? No, that's 2 times root 2 times root 5. You can always multiply these numbers together. Never multiply a number like this times a root inside. You can multiply root times root, but you can't multiply a number times a root. Okay? Just leave it. 2 times 2 is 4, so this is really 4 roots of 5. Final answer. So square root of 80 is the same as 4 roots of 5. Alright, that's the simplified form. Kind of like 3/6 is 1/2. Square root of 80 is 4 roots of 5. Need you to know how to do this so you always can score the most amount of points as possible. Let's look at the next question. Actually, what's an easier way to do square root of 80? Look for squares within 80. What are some factors of 80 besides 8 and 10? What about square root of 16 times square root of 5? How about that? Square root of 16, 5. Make square root of 80. Look at that. Square root of 16 is 4. 4 roots of 5. Yes, these can be quicker than all this work right here if you think about squares within this number. Okay, just like 12. 12 is 2 and 6, right? I'm just going to break it down. This is a multiplying problem. I could just break each thing down by itself. 12 is 2 and 6, or better yet, square root of 4 times square root of 3, because square root of 4 is a nice number. Okay, 4 is a square. That's what you want. Times square root of 15 is square root of 3, square root of 5. And look what we have here. Square root of 4 is 2 whole. Square root of 3 times square root of 3. That is 3 whole. Not square root of 3, but square root of, this is really square root of 9, right? Which is 3. Times the square root of 5. Now this isn't a nice answer. 2 times 3 is 6 roots of 5. That is the same as this right here. Okay? Last one. So basically we use this property so far. Last one, there's a new property. It's an easy property. If you have the square root of a divided by b, this is the same as splitting it up and saying square root of a divided by square root of b. Okay? So that's what we're going to do to this problem right here. This is the square root of the whole thing. Let's split it up. Square root of 8 on top over square root of 81. Now this is nice on the bottom because I know square root of 81, that's a nice number. Square root of 81 is 9. There's an integer 9. But square root of 8, it's not nice. So basically kind of break it down just like we did over here. Always break the square roots down until you can't go any farther. That's a rule. Okay? So square root of 8 is square root of 4 times square root of 2. Square root of 4 square root of 2, yes, square root of 8. And then this becomes square root of 4 is 2. So 2 times root 2 all over 9. Now be careful with this. This is your final answer, but what if that was 2 and what if that was 8? 2 and 8 would cancel and make 1 and 4. So be careful on your final answers. A lot of people miss lots of little points on these questions. So that's how you kind of break down square root stuff.